All righty. So I'm so excited to have Tressa Williams on today. Tressa Williams is a business owner, my favorite state farm agent located in my small town of Morgan Hill, my fellow Morgan Hill resident. And not only that, but also the president of my Rotary Club, Madam President of Rotary Club Santa Clara. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, and then I also have my co-host Ed Diaz as well. Ed's located in San Francisco. So as you folks know, I'm on the real estate side. My partner Ed's on the lending side, and Mr. Ed Diaz, Paul Harris recipient, is present as well. So Ed, thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
well, thank you for inviting me. This is always a huge pleasure. Like I was telling Teresa, anytime somebody says service above self, and that's their mantra, hello, I'm in, right? It
Yes,
attracts those kind of givers gain kind of people. And so Rotary is just, if you don't know about it, go check it out because Rotary is something that will change your life. It really will. It's not just about business, it is about service, being above everything else. And that's
Yeah.
really what I think is the secret to happiness in life is giving to others.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Ed. I was chatting with Mike Sellers yesterday, Teresa, and after we were finished with the event last night, and I was just thinking that sometimes we have these, as we call them, first world problems, right? Oh, I didn't get this deal. This client is being really difficult with this and that, for example, and you think like you're bearing all the weight of the world on your shoulders with these small things, right? And then you go and help out with an event like Steps for Success, right, where we're helping kids with that have issues with getting shoes, for example, and helping them. And all of a sudden, you put so many things into perspective. Like, this is what I'm complaining about. This is my little sad violin that I'm playing for myself, and Rotary has helped me
that's
understand
right.
these things. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, on that note, I'm so happy that you're on because outside of talking about Rotary, obviously, I wanted to discuss insurance. For me, home insurance these days has been of great interest with the wildfires happening in 2020 in California, with most
Right.
recently what happened with Hurricane Ian in Florida, and in between, right? I mean, California to Florida and all the wildfires that happened in Texas and Oklahoma, et cetera. I see how much money FEMA is given out to these states, right? Just because of wildfire management and stuff. So I was curious how this would affect homeowners insurance. So that's why I wanted to bring you on. But before we even get into that, like, how long have you been doing insurance? How long have you owned your own business?
Oh, and you know what else? You mentioned a lot of things, and let's just talk about this week with the 5.1 earthquake.
Oh, that's
You
right.
know,
Yeah, that's right.
it's like
I felt it.
it's coming. I mean, insurance should be on people's minds based on just everyday transaction,
Yeah,
everyday happenings around here, right?
right.
So I've been in the insurance industry for over 35 years. However, I've been in the other side working on life insurance. I worked inside of the company, inside of State Farm, in management. But I have been an independent business owner for 13 years. So
Nice.
yeah, so I started out inside corporate and working in the regional office, actually with the financial side of it, life insurance and health and things of that nature. And then I was also a business consultant for agents. So I learned about the business and helped people in their business. And then I thought, I need to be doing this myself. So 13 years ago, I opened up my own agency.
Nice. Oh, wow. Okay.
Congratulations.
35.
Yeah, thank you.
35 years. How about that, Nima?
Yeah,
What
so
have we
she's
been
been
doing for 35 years? Let's see.
she's been doing insurance as long as my dad's been doing real estate. That's what I calculated in my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I
So,
started as a
Teresa, can I
baby.
ask,
I started as a
as a
baby.
babe, you were what, 7? Is that what it was?
Six. I was six.
Quick question, Teresa. Why
Yeah.
insurance of all things that you could have done as far as a career?
You know what? Think about what you said about service above self, Rotary, helping other people. I have to admit, I didn't go to college for insurance. my degree is in radio, TV, and film, and that's
wow.
what I majored in. And I was in a college town, and State Farm was one of the three big employers in the college town. So even though I was working at the local radio, or actually the TV station in town, I had a person come and recruit me and say, "Hey, you know what? Have you ever thought about coming to work in insurance for State Farm?" I'm like, no, because, and I said, but you know, my degree is in radio, TV, and film, and that's what I'm doing. And I was in Columbia, Missouri, which is a small town, a small market. And she said, well, you know, maybe you can consider doing the commercials or something like that. But we have an opening for a management trainee position. And then she told me how much money a management trainee made, which was 3 times what I was making at the TV station. And I was like a good neighbor, I'm there. So
Yeah.
I ended up inside State Farm. That's why I have so many years right out of college
Wow.
working for State Farm, and it just evolved. And once I got there and I realized the importance of how what we do is about helping people recover from the unexpected and realize their dreams. Like you said, I was all in about helping people. And that's, you know, that's really the heart of what I do. If I'm not helping people recover and helping people prepare for that unexpected, then I'm not doing my job. So
What a
Yeah.
great
that's how
story.
I got into insurance.
A great story. Thank you for sharing.
And you
Thank
provide
you.
security, right? I like that.
Mhm.
Provide security for one's assets, right? Even one's health, what
Yeah.
you're doing is
Mhm.
awesome.
Things
Yeah.
we work so hard for.
Mhm.
Things you work so hard for. That's right.
Now, have you seen from, let's say, from when I've known you in, like, let's say late 2018, early 2019 to now, fluctuations with homeowners insurance because of natural disasters like wildfires and earthquakes, like let's say specifically in California for our market?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's no secret, and everyone feels it, that their rates are going up, right?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, we've actually did a whole overhaul of our policy at State Farm, and also just the industry. And you know, people have to leave the industry because of the natural disasters and not being financially secure enough as a company. I think people forget that in order to pay claims, we have to have money as a company. And but when you're thinking about your own individual policy, it's like just about me. You're not thinking about the big picture. And when you think about the big picture over recent years and all the disasters you just mentioned before, at the beginning of this call, you have to realize that companies have to build up reserve and build up the money that's needed to help people recover from this. So yes, I've definitely had a higher appreciation for the business and how the business of the business and how important it is to be rate adequate for the policies that we are selling, so that when, not if, but when things happen, we are able to do what we promise and pay those claims. So I've definitely seen that
Yeah.
the
Like an
change
injury, so.
and throughout the industry, all companies have gone through change and looking at their policies and looking what we offer and looking at the cost factor and making sure we're rate adequate.
I see. Do you, anything like, would you happen to, I'm just putting you on the spot here, anything like percentages, anything like that, if you would happen off the top of your head? And the reason why I'm asking this, because, you know, Holiday Estates in the area that where you and I live in Morgan Hill, By the way, I like to call Morgan Hill a small town with a big heart.
Yeah, yes,
On the east side of town, right up in the foothills, after the CZU SCU complex fires in 2020, me as a real estate agent, I've noticed that homeowners insurance policies have gone up. So when we're going and looking at properties, all the way up East Dunn over there, I do advise my clients to double check their homeowners insurance policies just to make sure that if you were to buy in this area, there's no red flags that you're encountering. Because, for example, I heard like it's gone from before it could have been like $1,000 for the year, and now it's maybe 2,000 or 2,500, something like that, because of those wildfires. Just like you said, understandably, they need to have those resources to fund them, and that's why they've increased those premiums. But I wanted to see if you had any insight on that at all.
absolutely. One of the things I want to tell you, Nima and Ed, rate increases are not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is non-renewals. And that is actually what I saw in our neighborhood. Holiday Lake Estates. I used to have my wrapped car at the end of the driveway. And even though my husband is the Morgan Hill agent, my agency is in Santa Clara, where our Rotary is.
Yeah.
But I get all the phone calls because my phone number is on my wrapped car at the end of the driveway. And people just walking through the neighborhood, they haven't had any claims. Nothing has changed other than the wildfires and us being evacuated. And they get that notice from their insurance company that they're non-renewing. That, my friend, is worse than the rates being doubled.
You're right.
Because you don't want to be without. So that's actually the calls that I have been getting from Holiday Lake Estates is people actually getting non-renewed by companies. Thank goodness, knocking on wood, we are still writing. We're still writing in our neighborhood. We're still writing in Holiday Lake Estates. So when people call me, I'm able to help them and say, yeah, I heard that your company is non-renewing in our whole neighborhood. As the policies are coming up for renewal, they're being non-renewed. And so we're helping people make sure that they stay insured. Yes, rates are going up across the board, but what you want to tell them is not so much about the rates, but about you need to check to make sure the company you're with, or you find a company that will insure in our hills. Right. So, and I'm not saying that to say we insure everywhere, because we do have places where we have oversaturated the market there, and the company has pulled back and told us we can't write in certain places, but we thank goodness are still able to write in Holiday Lake Estates.
Oh, okay.
So Teresa, real quick, on that note, what do you think 2023 looks like as far as number of carriers that are going to non-renew and bail California particularly?
I see it coming on the horizon. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. If it's bad news, I don't know. The news is rates are going to continue in the direction that they're going, which is up, and carriers will continue to leave the state if they're not able to keep their promise, and if they're to a point where they know that they have saturated that market, that if there was a fire, that they would have to be turned over to the state, basically. And that's what has happened in some smaller communities, the fires up north, that they had some companies actually had to fold and turn over to the state. And once you turn over to the state, your policy limits go to the state minimums, right? So that's kind of the scary part. But I would say companies are trying to be rate sufficient and balance it off and get the right rate so that they can stay in business, so they can stay in this state and be able to pay the claims when those disasters occur.
Is there a percentage of premium that has to be kept liquid, meaning that it doesn't go towards operating costs? Is that how it works? Or shed some light on that.
Well, I mean, if I can give you just like some history, I know with State Farm and this was actually in Florida in hurricane. It was a hurricane that hit that was so big that it did bankrupt our fire company. However, the wonderful thing about working for being a part of a larger company is we had an auto company, and our auto company was able to take funds from the auto company and bail out the fire company, and then the fire company paid the auto company back. So that's kind of a behind the scenes look at how State Farm, at least, was able in a crisis situation to make sure that we kept our promise, but at the same time, we had the funds and investments in another company that we were able to give a loan to. So the percentages, I'm not sure about that, but I hope that helps give you
and the government requires
or
certain
some security,
amount,
right? Security, because I tell you that Nima, you said security blanket, and it's important. That's what insurance is. It's a security blanket, and if that blanket is weak and not strong, then everything falls apart, right?
Right.
True.
Yeah. And what happens, you had mentioned, if the insurance carrier, stops, offering insurance to that homeowner, and you said that they go to the state. For my personal, what happens in that situation if they have to go through the state?
Well, the state insurance costs more and is less coverage because it's costs more and it's less coverage. So what you want to do is you want to find a company that is selling in the area where you're at. And I'll tell you, if someone comes to me, the first thing I do is I put in their zip code, their address and zip code. If I see that we're not writing in that area, then I call some of my broker friends. I mean,
Nice.
And say, look, I'm not writing in this area, and are you? Because we need some help. They need coverage, and there are some areas that in California that's really hard to get coverage, and if you can't, then you have to go to the state.
Wow.
Yeah. That's kind of the default insurance.
My in-laws live in El Dorado Hills. Just right at the edge, right the foot of the Sierra Nevada mountains. And there was a few wildfires that got pretty close recently. We had that wildfire season. I would say even, flirting with that Placerville town limit, and they're not too far from that Shingle Springs area as well. Like those were all under fire watch. So it's like, I think about my mother-in-law, it's getting real close, and now where I live, do you live in the Holiday Lake Estates, Teresa?
We just moved, but I lived up there for 16 years.
Nice. Okay, cool. I never knew that. So just to give some context to you, Ed, and some of the listeners. So this place, I love this area, right? Where I live, like I live on the other side of the freeway. Now on the eastern part of Morgan Hill, as you're getting into the foothills, you go to like Anderson Lake, right? Which is the biggest reservoir in our county. And that Anderson Lake is like between Holiday Estates and Henrico Park. So
that's where we live. We look over actually Anderson Lake. I'm going to tell you what's so weird. Can I tell you? Do you got a minute? I can tell you about one of the fires. So let me tell you two different fires. So one morning, my husband's always up early. It was like, I don't know, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he woke me up, and he was really calm, and hey, I need to show you something. I'm like, it's 3 in the morning. What do you need to show me? We went out on our balcony, and I could see the fire and the flames across the lake,
Whoa.
in the park, in Henry Cow Park. I could see the fire. And I was like, oh my goodness, should we be evacuating? What?
Yeah.
I mean, I of course started taking pictures. What did I do? I started taking pictures because I could see the flames and I could see the fire. No one ever knocked on the door. We just watched the fire all day, and finally, it subsided and went away. Okay, fast forward to when did we have to be evacuated? Like a year ago, a year and a half ago, when they were evacuating up the hill. I mean, I couldn't see any flames. I didn't see a thing. And I was like, why are they knocking on our door? They made us evacuate for like 3 days. We were evacuated for 3 days. Never did I see a flame. So I had to inquire, like, why is it in that one case I'm looking at flames and I'm not being evacuated? And in this case, I don't see flames anywhere and they're evacuating us. Well, I learned that it's about the wind and the speed of the fire and control.
Oh, interesting.
And so they didn't have it under control. Even though I couldn't see it, the speed of the wind and the fact that it wasn't contained and they couldn't get their arms around the fire is why they evacuated us. The fire that I could see, they had totally surrounded it. I could see it, but it was so contained and controlled that we didn't have to evacuate. So I thought I wanted to share that because I'm sure other people were saying, like, why do I need to leave my house? Because I don't see a flame. Why am I leaving? But we complied, and
when was this?
We left for 3 days.
Yeah. Do you recall like when this was? Like what?
Shoot, wasn't it? It was like 2020 and 2020 when
at that time, okay. It was 2020 time. Okay. Yeah, so
I remember something similar in Coffee Park up in Santa Rosa because my wif's from up there. Man, same thing.
That's
the
right,
wind
Santa
speed,
Rosa.
all of a sudden, man, it just, they had to evacuate quick. It's like you think you have all this time. No, you don't. This stuff is coming fast and furious.
Exactly.
Some of the wine growers in that region, I remember, like in Santa Rosa, Ed, as you mentioned, I got a buddy who's a horticulturist out over there, and he was making some jokes. He goes, you'll see our next batch. It's going to be slight barbecue mesquite, he was just making jokes.
A slight char to it.
Yeah, like that, just because of the wildfires.
Smoke. It's a smoke flavor.
Little smoky flavor, yeah. I mean, and remember Paradise, right? Paradise, California, guys, and
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Companies had to leave. Paradise put several insurance companies out of business.
Yeah, wow. I can imagine. In 2020, guys, that was so crazy. So that's when I was buying my house down over here. Well, I had a 1-bedroom, a small place in San Jose, and then we're gonna get rid of that and move down over here. And now my wife was 7 months pregnant. She had just stopped working, so I was just like doing that first time in my life, just like, I'm going to handle this on my own, single income type of thing. We were buying the house, obviously COVID, there was no vaccines. And then the sky was all orange and wildfires were everywhere. And it was just such a stressful.
I remember that.
Guys, my insurance agent told me that. She goes, I don't know if I can get you insurance for your property. Fortunately, it ended up working out, but it was just one of those other things. And that really caused me to go to the, I couldn't sleep at night. And I went to the doctors, and my blood pressure usually hovers, like the mid 120s. My systole on the top was like 140 something, just because I had all these things to deal with. And it was just
cortisol levels are through the roof, man.
Yeah. I'm like, great, now this and this, there were just so many things to deal with. But at the end, I'm just so happy that the town, at least down over here, was okay. But a lot of folks, like you had mentioned, Teresa, right, they were evacuated all the way up, I believe, down to Hill Road.
Yep.
But by Condit, all the way down over there, like all of those homes, they had to be evacuated.
Yep. I mean, the whole, we had guards at the bottom of the hill. So I think Jackson Oaks and Holiday Lake Estates we were all evacuated, and we had to show ID to get up the hill just to
Wow.
go back and get things out of our house. And it was touch and go for a minute, and I couldn't understand why, because I couldn't see the fire, but they knew that it was just right over the hill, and it wasn't being contained yet.
Wow, yeah. So what now, as far as homeowners insurance goes, so we talked about wildfires, right? That I think about Morgan Hill, I think about El Dorado Hills, Santa Rosa, like where Ed wife's from, my in-laws in that area. What about San Francisco? And like, let's just say being on Bay Mud, right, Ed? I believe it's like Bay Mud. So it just like Loma Prieta happened in the Santa Cruz
it's
Mountains,
basically
right?
landfill. Yeah.
Landfill. And then you guys, because the ground is not as sturdy,
Yeah,
even though
liquefaction.
like the earthquake happens down over here, you're going to feel a lot more than we Morgan Hill residents are, right?
Absolutely, because it's liquefaction, right? So just to give you an idea on the 5.1, this is a funny story.
Yeah.
So I'm literally going into the cabinet to grab something to eat when it hit. I thought I was having a seizure, man.
What
I'm like, because I'm doing
holy
this.
man.
Like,
My
what's
bowl of
going
cereal.
That's
Because
me. That's
even though
me.
you
That
live
was
in San
me. I'm not from California, so it freaked me
Oh,
out.
it didn't freak me out because I'm in San Francisco, so I'm used to it. And by the way, I was in the earthquake of '89, so it doesn't freak me out. But it just hit at the exact time I'm here grabbing my fruity pebbles or whatever I was doing, and it's like shaking, man. I thought I was having a seizure. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Is homeowners insurance more like for San Francisco because of things like that? And
Okay, so let me be really clear on this, and for everyone to know,
yeah.
earthquake insurance is not covered under homeowners insurance. It's completely different.
Completely separate.
So let me be perfectly clear. Just because you have a homeowner's policy, you don't have earthquake coverage. You also don't have flood coverage. So well, and I always talk about you don't have earthquake, you don't have flood, and you don't have life. So if the ground shakes, if water comes in, or if the person paying that mortgage isn't around anymore, your homeowner's insurance is not covering that. So it's completely separate policies. Now, what I will say about earthquake insurance, it is a companion policy, meaning that you have to have homeowners insurance really to get earthquake, and they sell you your earthquake insurance based on your homeowner's policy. So that's the big thing to know, is that it's completely different.
So is that a rider, Teresa, or is it a separate policy? And can you explain the difference between a rider and a separate
Yeah, it's
policy?
not a rider.
Separate policy
It's
is
a
kind of
separate policy. It's
okay.
yeah. So a separate policy, a separate company. So like State
Earthquake
Farm,
Authority.
when we sell earthquake insurance, we're selling it through the CEA, the California Earthquake Authority. That's and many carriers are selling through the California Earthquake Authority. There are a few brokers who are able to find earthquake insurance separate from the California Earthquake Authority. But when you think about earthquake insurance in California, you're thinking California Earthquake Authority. With the flood, it's federal, it's FEMA. That's again, it's a whole separate policy. So I'm selling a FEMA flood policy for people who want flood insurance, and a California Earthquake Authority policy for people who want earthquake insurance.
And are those priced the same no matter what carrier you go through, since it's going through them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please know that it's priced the same, regardless to the carrier. The carrier can't pad FEMA, they can't pad CEA. The price is what the price is. What you want to look for is an agent that will help you to create the right plan. So a lot of times people go, oh, I don't want earthquake because it's too expensive. I said, well, do you have an agent that can walk you through and help you massage and make that plan what works for you? So it's the same policy, the same CEA, but it's a million different ways you can structure your earthquake policy.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know that was an option, that you can structure it differently. So that's
Oh,
great to know.
absolutely.
Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. You could do that with flood too?
Flood is not as flexible as earthquake.
Okay,
Yeah,
good to know.
but earthquake is super, and I'm going to tell you, over the years, it's become like that. When CEA first started, it was just what it was. It did not give you a lot of options to customize your plan. Now you have tons of options to customize your plan.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I was wondering if you bundle it all together, you know, like if you
Oh,
could
yeah.
get like a better rate or something like that. So that kind of answers my question. So they're all the
Well,
same.
let me tell you, you can't bundle the earthquake and the flood, but what you can do is you can bundle your homeowners and your auto. So it really pays to have your home and your auto
An
insured with the
umbrella,
same company,
an umbrella, because I'm a big believer in umbrella insurance.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Your umbrella, and people with umbrellas get even greater discounts. I know for our company, if you have your auto and fire and you have an umbrella, we're like, you're serious. If you have an umbrella, you know the importance of handling your business and taking care of your that liability. And we're giving you even a more discount when you
So,
have.
Teresa, can you unpack it for just a few minutes, umbrella? Because when I
Okay.
talk to people and I even mention umbrella, I guess there's the sound of umbrella sounds expensive for some reason, but it
No,
really
it's
isn't.
not.
It's dirt cheap. And
It
can you
is
tell them
dirt
what
cheap.
you get for giving up one latte a month?
So let me talk about umbrellas. Umbrellas are short for personal liability umbrella policies. And what the umbrella does is it covers your home, all of your autos, and all the people under your roof, under your home, in your household. So it covers everything. But umbrellas don't kick in until after your underlying insurance has paid out. So here's an example. Someone comes to your house and they get hurt, or there's a fire, and that fire extends not only to your house but to your neighbor's house, but it started in your kitchen. The first thing that's going to pay out is your homeowner's policy. That's the first thing that's going to pay out. Okay, now you've run out of money in your own policy to pay for your neighbor's house because they're saying you need to pay because the fire started in your kitchen. That's when the umbrella kicks in. So because the umbrella does not kick in until after the homeowner's policy has paid out, or you've had an accident and your auto policy has paid out, then the umbrella kicks in. The price of it is super cheap. It's dirt cheap because you have to have the underlying policy in place, and that one pays out before the company has to even use the umbrella. So that's why umbrellas are affordable. They're essential. They're essential in California. If you own a home in the state of California and you don't have an umbrella, you need to run to your insurance agent and get an umbrella.
Oh, well, I'm glad I did that because I initially, the first year I didn't have that umbrella policy. And then I found out, I think through my carrier was like $240 or something extra on top of that. I'm
A
like,
year. That's
yeah,
a year.
A year,
$240 a
right?
year for $1 million.
That's what I'm saying. It's a latte.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
we're
that's
not
not bad.
litigious in California, are we, Teresa?
Very.
Yeah, they're going to do an asset search, and believe me, when they see that house and stuff, they're going after you. They're going to want not only a new kitchen, but a brand new nice kitchen with a Sub-Zero in it.
Exactly, exactly. They are. And I'm telling you, I've learned from experience, and I've watched umbrella policies pay out for car accidents as well as homeowners situations. Important.
Now, so the bundling, so like home and auto, you can get like a small, like a little discount, right? When you put all of these together. So
Yep.
that would benefit you. Like you're hoping that your primary carrier, your insurance carrier, like let's just say that does your life and auto, also offers homeowners insurance, right? Because my assumption is if you go through a broker, if like State Farm wouldn't be able to insure your home, fortunately, you're gonna be able to find the insurance, like you said, which is the most important thing. However, most likely it's going to be more expensive as a result if you have to go through that.
So here it is. I'm very proud to work for a company that offers it all. Your auto, your fire, your life, your health, your umbrella.
Right.
I can sell you an umbrella policy even if everything isn't with State Farm. It just costs more. You get the bigger bang for your buck and the bigger discount is if everything under that umbrella is with the same company. If you have your auto and your home with us, your umbrella, but I mean, it's still not that much more. So the example of $240 a year for $1 million umbrella, well, if your auto happens to be with some other carrier, your umbrella, we'll still do it, but we want to see that we want to see that policy with the other company, and then we'll still give you the umbrella, but it may cost $350 instead, $100 more.
Now, you had mentioned flood insurance, and on the real estate side, we predominantly find out about this through the natural hazard disclosure, right? This is something that we use in real estate disclosures, and it essentially says, right, if it's in a potential flooding area or a FEMA. And then we always tell clients, if it's in FEMA flooding, you're going to have to carry flood insurance for this property. Now, I'm curious, I'm kind of thinking out loud here. I think about Sacramento and the floods that they used to, right, have to deal with. Now, with this whole drought situation, I wonder if that affects your premium, because they're like, flooding, where's the water? I don't know. I don't know if I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I don't know if you folks have any insight on that, but that's curious to me.
I'm gonna tell you, I was always curious, and most of the time, I have to be honest, when we're selling flood is because a real estate agent told the client they had to have flood insurance, and it was a condo, and the condo was on the 3rd floor, and they're like, we don't care, we want this condo, and the real estate agent said we have to buy it, so we buy it. They buy it. And I don't know if it's the bank that watches that, but people end up keeping it just because I guess it's not expensive and they just forget they have it or whatever. So yeah, that I can't really speak to that too much, because I'll say the majority of the time it's because someone else had recommended flood as opposed to me recommending flood insurance.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, because I was just thinking like, okay, well, when there's more wildfires, they're going to increase the premiums. I mean, that makes sense, right? Because the risks that they have to deal with, understandably so. But on the flip side of that, if like things like water, for example, are becoming more and more scarce, unfortunately, in our state, because of the snowpack and climate change and whatnot, well, does that benefit the insurance premium holders anyway, because they're not seeing that many floods, for example? I just
and keep in mind, the flood is not the individual insurance companies anyway, it's FEMA.
Oh, that's true.
FEMA, the federal government is regulating those premiums, and
I see.
We go through a training to learn how to use their software. Everybody across the country is using the same system for that, and it's just zones. And I'm sure that the zones are reevaluated as, you know, droughts come and things like that.
Yearly,
And
right?
even, yeah.
Yearly, okay. This is all fascinating to me to learn all these things. I mean, I have Ed to
So
learn a lot
much.
about the lending side, like the back end things, and now I have Teresa, you know, to teach me about all of these things like homeowners insurance. Because hey, sometimes you get clients that ask you, why do I need homeowners insurance? What are the benefits of homeowners? I'm like, that's a great idea. That's a great question. That's a great question.
So here's the info.
You know what
Yeah.
shocks me though is people. Okay, so you have to have it if you have a lien on your house. The bank is not going to let you buy the house without
Correct.
homeowners insurance, right?
Must have it.
So I have these people who pay off their home and they say, "Do I need homeowner insurance?" What? What? Okay, the bank was smart enough to say, if the house burns down, we want money. Okay, now you paid off the bank and the house is really yours. You really want insurance.
Yeah,
right?
literally, I would right when you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is I would want it even more.
Even more.
Because I'm like,
Exactly.
how much skin do I have in the game, yo?
I
Well,
know.
and see,
Come
that's the
on.
thing that people don't have that foresight. That's why this information is so important because people don't think these things out loud or they don't
Yeah.
look at the big picture. In reality, yeah, hello. Now it's really your house.
Let me put in a plug for renters insurance too, really quick.
Oh yeah, I would
Okay.
love to know. Yeah, please.
Okay, so let me tell you this. So I talked about, you know, the worst thing is not a premium increase. The worst thing is a non-renewal, or we can't write there, or we can't write that. Here is, other than the fact you should have renters insurance to protect your stuff anyway, and to give you a little bit of liability in case someone says you did something that you either did or didn't do, and they're trying to sue you. And you to have a renter's policy. Another good reason to have a renter's policy is to establish yourself with a company that does do homeowners insurance. Reason being, it comes time for you to buy that first time home. You're a renter with me and you've been renting with me for the last 5 years. Guess what? I'm going to give you a 5-year discount, a loyalty discount on that brand new home that you're about to buy. So you're going to be able to get your home insurance for less because you've been a renter with me for so many years and I'm giving you a loyalty discount. Also, when companies get to a point where they're not writing in a certain area, which we all do, including State Farm, they will take into consideration an existing policyholder who is already insured with us. So if you're a renter and you're going to buy that new home in Holiday Lake Estates, and we're not writing new homes in Holiday Lake Estates, you're a grandfathered customer that we may be able to still write your home. Even in a situation where others may not be able to get insurance in that area. So renters is important for so many reasons. I know a lot of people get it, lose it, get it, lose it, but I think it's something that people need to really consider even before they buy a home.
That's good to know. You start that loyalty up front, right? You start realizing what the payouts are like how it works. At least in the complex that I lived in before I bought my first home, they required renters insurance. So, you know, it was mandatory that we carry that. But I didn't know that. That's a great thing that you bring up, like about the loyalty discount when you know, when you actually do end up getting your home and you want to make sure that it's
Makes a ton of sense.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very, very good.
So your office, Teresa, is in Santa Clara, right?
That's right. My office is in Santa Clara, but I tout that we help people in Santa Clara throughout the state of California. I'm licensed to sell insurance for the entire state of California. My husband's office is based in Morgan Hill. Mine's based in Santa Clara.
That's awesome. So you're a Morgan Hill resident like me. Your business is primarily in Santa Clara, like mine. I mean, just like you know, I'm licensed to the whole state as well, and but my predominantly, you know, my deals are in Santa Clara County and some in Alameda
Yeah.
County as well. But just like you know, all over the place. And
Yep.
Ed, you're as a lender, are you just solely state of California?
I personally am, just because, hey, acres of diamonds in your own backyard. You want to take care of your own people, but
Yeah.
I can license anywhere. Yeah, I can
I
license
hear
in
sometimes, yeah,
any of
people are
50
like, oh, I'm
states.
licensed in Florida and counting
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
and
It
that.
depends on your contacts. Like I have a lot of contacts in Florida as well,
Yeah,
but it just depends on where the volume is at, right? Because you have to
right.
justify the fees of getting licensed in other places. If you don't have business there,
That's
then
true.
what's the point, right? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
look, California, right? I mean, there's no shortage of business here,
Yeah. Most populous state in the nation.
right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I
absolutely.
don't know if you guys saw that Bloomberg article, but it was pretty cool. It talked about how the California economy is, I think, ranked number 4 now, right, in the world. It's surpassing Germany,
Crazy.
despite Larry Ellison and Elon Musk, you know, like leaving the state. It still shows just how resilient the economy is. And on that note, a vast majority of that money coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, right, with the tech companies being out
I
over
mean,
here.
we're
So
the innovators of the world, let's be
yeah,
honest, as far as
yeah.
tech.
I mean, we see a lot of these articles, right? That say, "Oh, everyone's leaving. California's doomed. Everyone's leaving the state."
No,
You know,
no.
yeah,
That
exactly.
goes along with the earthquake throwing us into the ocean theory. Remember that? We've been toying
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that
yeah. I
I
forever.
did.
was told that before I moved to California. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna fall in the ocean."
I
I
don't
was
know.
like,
Yeah, it was
I've
like
been
the
learning
San
how to
Andreas
swim ever
Fault was going to
since.
separate, like the states were going to separate or something like that. I heard that too.
Hey, Teresa,
"Yeah,
I got a really important question for you. And I don't
okay."
know if this is on purpose or not that he did this, but don't you think Nima would make a great Jake?
Was it the
Oh
red
my
shirt?
goodness,
Is it the
he
red shirt?
would. Look at him.
He dressed like Jake today, man. Is that on
Yeah,
purpose, Nima?
Well,
you're looking kind of Jakeish. Hey,
Right?
that should be your Halloween costume.
Dude,
I you know, my wife wanted
you
me to
are
be
Jake.
a
You're
firefighter this
Jake.
year, but hey, if I can rock red and be Jake and, you know, hang out with guys like Aaron Rodgers in commercials,
There you
I'm
go.
there. I'm there.
Hey,
Sold.
hey. Yeah, I saw Jake earlier this year, this summer, in at a meeting that we attended, and
That's cool.
yeah, he was like a rock star. You know, kids were like hanging on him, running up to
Jake.
him. I was like,
Yeah.
dang, this dude, we have turned this average guy into a rock star.
Well, it does. It's a life changing, even for those actors who, they just done like little bits. When they
Yeah.
get these kind of roles, it changes their whole career in life. Like
Yep.
that guy Jake, I'm sure. I
Yeah.
mean, everywhere he goes, think about it. That guy can't go out in public.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's in pop culture too. I mean, I heard it in a hip hop song once. It was a rap song that talked about Jake. Get
Oh,
him
is it
like Jake
really?
from Steak Farm or something like that. I'm like, hey, look at
Oh,
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Well,
big
hey,
time.
Mrs. Williams, I just want to say I appreciate you for many reasons. Number one, the fact that you were get on this call. Number two, for being the president of our beloved Rotary Club of Santa Clara, also known as the greatest Rotary Club in the world. And
Yes,
being
yes,
able,
yes.
you know what I mean? And being able to do all of these things right after coming back after, you know, a very well-deserved, relaxing vacation in Santorini, Greece. So shout outs to you.
Ooh,
Thank you. Thank
nice,
you. Yep. I did my flying dress.
nice.
That's great. But yeah,
Been
and
great.
to both of you, I'm grateful to have you guys on today.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you so much
invite.
for being on. Yeah, and so
Thank you,
Teresa,
Nima.
my pleasure. No, please finish your thoughts.
I just want to send shout outs and appreciation to you and just thank you for being so supportive.
Of
Um,
course.
with me being the president of our club, knowing that you have my back makes me feel good. And
That's cool.
I
Loyalty.
appreciate you, my friend. I
Yeah.
really do. But hey, I do need to carpool with you every now and then since we do live in the same neighborhood and we have to go up for
Go
a
up to
club
meetings,
meeting
right?
every
You
week. We
guys
should
can do
carpool every
carpool
now and then.
karaoke.
Carpool
Uh,
karaoke. Yeah, kind of like James.
Done.
Remember, was it James Corden? I was gonna say James Harden. James Corden.
Gordon.
That
Yeah.
yeah, that comedian. He does some funny.
Awesome.
My wife sends those to me. That carpool karaoke.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
remember,
nice.
I was on these work trips. I had those back-to-back work trips. Funny that Teresa reaches out to me while I'm gone. Both times that she reached out to me, which I should have been there to help my fellow Rotarian, the president of our Rotary Club. Honor to me to be rolling to the meeting with you. But the first time I was in Los Angeles, the other time I was in Phoenix for Housing Wire. But
I remember.
I'm back for a while, so
Carpool
I think we
karaoke
should
it
do
is.
carpool karaoke and put it on your show. We should roll up. We should roll up doing some carpool
Nima.
karaoke. I think that's an idea for one of your shows.
I tell you what, Nima, I think she's got some singing chops, man. It's just a hunch.
yeah.
Be ready, brother.
Okay, I got my work cut out for me, but I would love to do that. I got to set up like a dash cam and we can
Yep.
throw it on social media. So where can the good folks find you, Teresa? If somebody wants to learn more about home, auto, life insurance bundle, State Farm, all of those things, how can people get a hold of you?
Yes. So check out twilliamsagency.com.
Okay.
twilliamsagency.com. That's my website. Also, I'm on Facebook as Tressa Williams Agent, Tressa Williams, State Farm Agent. I'm also on Instagram, but that's kind of personal. I'm Delta Hookup on Instagram.
I follow you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can definitely check out twilliamsagency.com.
It's a nice website, by the way.
Huh?
I like it. It's a nice website.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like
Good way to
it. It's
remember
got a
that.
lot of good information on it. I love the videos.
And folks, that's Teresa, spelled Tressa.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. twilliamsagency.com. Find me. Also find me on Facebook. I'm trying to step up my game on
Social
Google
media
reviews and likes on my socials. So
yeah,
help a sister out.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to be
Let's
putting
do
this on
it.
YouTube, and then we're going to make a nice little thumbnail and be putting that on Facebook as well. I'll tag you in there.
Thank you.
And hopefully, yeah. And I'm trying to do the same thing with my Google business page. So real recognize real, as they say.
That's right. Real recognize real.
business
I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you.
All right, you too. I
All
really
right. Well,
appreciate
thank
you
you
taking the
again.
time out of your
Have a
busy days.
great
Yeah.
weekend.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Chat with
Take
you soon.
care.
Tuning in. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.